Imagine this scene. You're sitting late at night looking at your bank account, and a familiar feeling rises within you. Not quite anxiety, but not peace either. Something between everything is fine, and this is clearly not enough. Does that sound familiar, my friend? This strange inner emptiness when it seems like everything is moving along, but there's no sense of true fulfillment. Money comes and goes, plans are made and fall apart, and you still feel, how should I put it, separate from the life you truly want to live. We live in a world where we've been taught one simple formula since childhood. If you want more money, work harder, move faster, sacrifice sleep, health, and relationships. The formula is as blunt as an axe. Effort equals results. And we honestly follow this principle. We get up at 6 in the morning, plan every minute, read productivity books, and listen to podcasts by successful people. But for some reason, a real breakthrough never happens. For some reason, the feeling that you're swimming against the current only grows stronger. And then the thought comes, maybe I'm doing something wrong. And this is where it gets interesting. What if our entire system for seeking wealth is built on a false foundation from the very beginning? What if we're looking in all the wrong places? Listen to how we usually think about money. It's somewhere out there, in the hands of other people, in the economy, in complex schemes and strategies. We imagine ourselves as hunters who must catch an elusive beast called wealth. And the more we run through the forest with these traps and baits, the more tired and lost we become. But you know what's strangest of all? All the great teachers of the past, from ancient philosophers to modern masters of success, spoke of something completely different. They claimed something that sounds almost insane to our rational minds. The source of all abundance is not outside, but inside us. Napoleon Hill, the author of the legendary book Think and Grow Rich, spent 20 years studying the wealthiest people of his time. And do you know what conclusion he came to? Wealth is not an external achievement. It is an internal state that then manifests in the external world. But how can that be? How can you become rich simply by changing something inside yourself? This contradicts everything our parents, teachers, and society have told us. Let's embark on a journey to what Hill called infinite intelligence and what modern spiritual teachers call the God within us. Don't be frightened by religious terms. We are not talking about dogmas or rituals. We are talking about the creative force that created you and continues to work through you every second. Imagine that there is a source of energy inside you, not metaphorically, but literally. A source that never runs out, does not depend on external circumstances, and is not limited by your past failures. The ancients called this source by different names. The Chinese called it Qi, the Hindus called it Prana, and Christians called it the Holy Spirit. Hill, while studying the millionaires of his time, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, discovered an amazing pattern. All these people, without realizing it, had learned to connect to this inner source. They didn't just work with their hands and their heads, they worked with their entire being, including the part that usually remains dormant in most people. And the most astonishing thing is this. This source is available to everyone. Not just the chosen few, not just geniuses, not just those born into wealthy families. Everyone. And that includes you. Are you ready to find out how it works? Napoleon Hill's story began not with wealth, but with poverty. A young journalist from a poor family was assigned to interview the richest man in America, Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie was quite a character, tough, straightforward, with no tolerance for empty talk. And so, this skinny young man in a worn-out suit sits before him and asks the question, "Mr. Carnegie, what is the secret to your success?" Carnegie looked at him with a long gaze and said, "Young man, are you willing to spend 20 years of your life to find the answer to that question?" Imagine that moment. 20 years. That's possibly more than you've been alive. Hill could have said, "Thank you, but I'll look for something simpler." But he said, "Yes," and so began the most difficult study of his life. Hill interviewed 500 of the most successful people in America: Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Theodore Roosevelt. He didn't just ask them questions, he studied their lives, their habits, their way of thinking. He wanted to find a common formula, the code that turns an ordinary person into a magnet for wealth. And do you know what the most amazing discovery was? All these people, independently of each other, spoke about the same thing. That true success comes not from external efforts, but from inner conviction, from the ability to see the result before it has manifested in reality, from the skill of thinking not like a poor person begging the world for a handout, but like a creator who crafts their own reality. Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Edison claimed that his inventions first appeared in his imagination and only then in his workshop. Carnegie called it definiteness of purpose, the ability to see the desired result so clearly that the entire world begins to help in its achievement. But here a problem arose. How could you explain to ordinary people what seems like mysticism? How could you tell a factory worker that wealth begins in his head? Hill understood. He needed to find a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern practicality. And then came the epiphany, the very aha moment that changed millions of lives. Hill realized, wealth is not what you get. Wealth is who you become. Imagine a radio receiver. It doesn't create radio waves. It tunes into the right frequency and receives what already exists in the airwaves. The human mind works in exactly the same way. We do not create wealth from nothing. We tune ourselves to the frequency of abundance, which is always present in the universe. And this is where what Hill called infinite intelligence comes in. This is not a religious concept, but a practical reality. It is the creative force that knows the answers to all questions before we even ask them, that sees opportunities where we see only obstacles, that can guide us to the right people at the right time. But here's the thing. This force doesn't work automatically. It requires our active cooperation. And the first step of this cooperation is to understand that you are not separate from the source of all abundance. You are a part of it. Moreover, you are its conduit in this world. God is not somewhere up in the heavens, handing out blessings to a chosen few. God is inside you, as a creative force, as the ability to think, dream, plan, and act. And when you realize this, an amazing transformation occurs. You cease to be a beggar and become a co-creator. This is the very secret of all truly wealthy people. They do not ask the world for money. They create value and allow money to flow to them naturally. But here begins the most difficult part of the journey. Because accepting this truth intellectually is one thing, but living in accordance with it is something else entirely. Do you know what the greatest price of this knowledge is? You will have to give up the role of the victim. You'll have to abandon the convenient explanation of all failures by external circumstances. You'll have to quit the habit of complaining about the economy, the government, your boss, your competitors. When you accept the idea that the source of wealth is within you, you automatically take full responsibility for your life. And that, frankly, is terrifying. Because it's easier to say, I don't have money because of the crisis, than to say, I don't have money because I still think and act like a poor person. It's easy to say thoughts are things. But try to monitor your inner dialogue for just one day. How many times did you think that's too expensive? I'll never have that much money, or rich people, that's not for me. Now, imagine this. Every such thought is an instruction to your subconscious mind on how to create your reality. And this is where we encounter a paradox. To become rich, it is not enough to want money. You need to start thinking like a rich person before you have the money. You need to believe in your own value before the world recognizes that value. You need to act from a state of abundance, even when your wallet is empty. It's like learning to drive a car. At first, you don't know how, but you have to get behind the wheel and try. It's scary at first, awkward, and it feels like you're not getting anywhere. But with each day, it gets easier until the skill becomes automatic. It's the same with the wealth mindset. At first, you don't feel like a rich person, but you must start thinking like one. Initially, it feels unnatural, even fake. But gradually, the new way of thinking becomes a part of you. Now imagine how your life will change once you internalize this principle. Remember the state we started with? When you were sitting late at night, looking at your bank account and feeling that inner void? Now you sit in the same chair at the same time. But you look with completely different eyes. Yes, the numbers in the account may be the same for now, but a shift has occurred within. You no longer feel separate from the source of abundance. You know what you see now is a reflection of how you thought and acted in the past, and what you will see tomorrow is being created by your thoughts and decisions today. And instead of anxiety, a calm confidence arrives. Not overconfidence, not naivety, but a deep understanding. You are connected to an inexhaustible source of creative energy, and this source is already at work bringing the right people, opportunities, and ideas into your life. Your morning routine has changed. Instead of immediately grabbing your phone and diving into the news, you first spend a few minutes in silence. You tune into the frequency of abundance. You clearly visualize your goals. You feel gratitude for what you already have and anticipation for what is coming. At work, you behave differently. Not like a person who is trying to get something, but like someone who brings value. You look for ways to help, to solve a problem, to improve a process. And strangely enough, opportunities to earn money begin to appear on their own. In conversations about money, you no longer complain about its absence. Instead, you talk about plans, projects, ideas. Not boasting, not fantasizing, but simply sharing a vision. And people start to react to you differently, as someone who knows where they are going. And now you understand. Something fundamental has happened. You are no longer the person who sought wealth on the outside, nor are you the one who waited for external circumstances to change for the better. You have become a master of inner alchemy, the transformation of thoughts into reality. Now you live in two worlds simultaneously. In the ordinary world, where there are bills, obligations, and daily worries. And in the world of infinite possibilities, where every idea can become $1 million company, and every meeting can be the start of a new chapter of success. You have understood the main thing. Wealth is not the amount of money in your bank account. Wealth is a state of consciousness that attracts abundance in all its forms. Money, opportunities, connections, ideas, health, relationships. And the most amazing thing is, the more you give, the more you receive. Not because the universe is keeping some kind of record of your good deeds, but because generosity is the natural state of a person connected to an infinite source. You have become a conduit for the energy of abundance, and this energy flows through you to other people, returning to you multiplied. This is the true formula for wealth, not to take, but to give. Not to receive, but to create. Not to ask, but to serve. Remember the question we started with? What is the one idea that could free you from all limitations? Now you know the answer. That idea is, God lives in you, not as a religious concept, but as a practical reality, as a source of creative power, wisdom, and abundance. And when you live from this understanding, wealth becomes not a goal, but a side effect, a natural result of a properly tuned consciousness, an inevitable consequence of living in harmony with the laws of the universe. So the question now is not, how do I become rich? But, are you ready to become who God intended you to be? Are you ready to accept your role as a co-creator in this amazing world of abundance? Because the world isn't waiting for another person who wants to get rich. The world is waiting for you. Unique, creative, connected to the source of all good. The one who will turn their talents into value, their ideas into reality, and their life into a work of art. This journey is just beginning, my friend, and it promises to be incredible.